Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. So today we're going to go over some of the coolest legendaries in the game. And I get a lot of questions just like, Krip, what should I craft? I have enough dust to craft my first legendary. What should I make, Krip? What should I do? Tell me, please tell me. I don't know how to play this game. Well, today we're going to show you how to play this game in terms of making legendaries and all that kind of shit. And I don't really want to just bring my opinion into this. I have found some statistics that I don't think people have really gone over yet, and I think I'm going to give you guys my opinion in reference to these statistics. So the statistics I'm talking about, okay, I'm going to do a top 10 list, and then a little bit more after that, show you guys some gameplay of what I'm talking about. But just to show you guys how the statistics work, I'm going to bring up the most commonly used legendaries, and this is how I'm going to rank them. This is obvious. It's obviously Dr. Boom. You guys already know that. Okay. So this is no surprise. The surprises might be at the end. Like the 10th most used legendary. What could that be? You know, but obviously the most used legendary in the entire game is Dr. Boom because he's ridiculously overpowered, as you guys already know because I've made videos about it. Mr. Dr. Balanced himself does a little bit more than his little brother War Golem, which is now a piece of crap. And everybody knows this. Everybody sticks this little guy in their deck. And more information we can see. This is all from Hearthstone. So Hearthstone does have a lot of decks posted, a lot of cool stuff, pretty nice community going. And when you search up a card, they give you this listing. So I thought I'd search up every single legendary in the game and give you guys the top 10 most used. And I don't think I fucked it up, but if I fucked it up, well, you guys can give me some shit for that in the comments, I suppose. So here it is, Dr. Boom. You can see the class distribution, and you can see that basically Dr. Boom is just as good everywhere. Do you know why? Because he's overpowered. And you can see the type of deck. So he's mainly used in control and other. I don't know, I can't really interpret that too well, but you can still see that even in aggro decks, there's a fucking 7-drop in it. That's how ridiculous this card is. Now, because of that, it's also very important to know that cards that are this used, that are this popular, are the most likely to get nerfed. And when a card gets nerfed in Hearthstone, you can temporarily, for a period of usually 2 to 3 weeks, disenchant it for full cost of making the card to begin with. So let's say you don't have Dr. Boom. Let's say you want the most OP legendary in the deck. Well, you're going to go and craft Dr. Boom, and let's say next week they nerf him. You're going to go ahead and disenchant his ass. And when you do that, you basically got a full refund. So it's a great idea to go with this method. If everybody's using a card, because it's overpowered, there is literally no risk in Hearthstone. So that is a great thing right now. So number 2 on the list, Sylvanas. Sylvanas is coming in with 30% of decks as opposed to Dr. Boom's 34%. And we can see that the distribution is a little bit skewed. Sylvanas is used a little bit more in Priest and a lot less in Rogue. That's generally because there are pretty controlly Rogue decks, but Sylvanas doesn't really have too great of a fit. And the reason it's very big in Priest is because Priest slow down the game a lot. Sylvanas is a big card, and they could use it as a mind control by casting Shadow or Death on it. But some other classes can do the same, like Warrior can kill off their own Sylvanas. A few of the Paladins can pull it off with equality. Hunters, Marks for Hunters, a little bit less likely, but you guys get the idea. It's generally, again, used in control, but it does have representation all the aggro brackets. And another statistics at the bottom that I forgot to mention is you can see how much this card is picked in Arena when you get to the selection. So 40% of the time, Sylvanas is actually not too great because the average is basically 1 in 3, but you guys will see soon enough that may change a little bit. So Sylvanas is a great card because it really changes the game completely when it's played. If your opponent can't kill you immediately, he basically has to trade into Sylvanas. He has to spend his turn, instead of playing big creatures, playing garbage creatures. So you force him into a position, and often that position can be used in a drastic way. So let's say you're facing like 2 big creatures as a priest, you play Sylvanas, he plays like 4 small creatures, suicides one, you get a small one, but then bam, Holy Nova Shadow or Death, board is clear, and you take a losing situation to a winning one. And this has many different types of ways that it plays out, but in most cases it's pretty good, and most people agree it's pretty good because most people like Sylvanas just as much as they like Dr. Boom, and we already know that card is ridiculously overpowered, so Sylvanas must be at least pretty damn good. Number 3 on the list, this is not one you can craft, this is our little bro Loatheb. Loatheb saw a lot of dominance in the Naxx patch, and now he's still alive and kicking. You can see a pretty even deck distribution. It's a little bit low in Warrior because Warrior doesn't really care what you play, he's just going to react to what you play, but still, we do see Loatheb in a lot of Warrior decks, mainly Control Warrior, but still not in all of them, because there's just more fun legendaries to play instead of him. In terms of the deck archetypes, you see Loatheb play just about everything. He's great even in aggro because often if you're winning by a lot, you can just Loatheb to prevent your opponent from clearing the board, guaranteeing you having lethal the next turn. And this kind of flips around, so if you're playing control, if you know you're going to die to a ridiculous combo, let's say you're up against Drew, you know you're going to die to Force of Nature Savage, or you need that extra turn to seal the deal on the board or clean up the game, well, you can Loatheb to make sure that you don't die to a spell combo finish. And he's pretty popular in Arena, coming in at 70%. And Loatheb, 27.5% is huge. And it's huge because I think it's actually not quite that many people that invest in Naxx. It's a bigger investment to get Naxx than it is to buy a bunch of cards, get some dust, and craft something. You can't actually craft Loatheb. So he is going to have a little bit less of a showing because of that factor. Now, these three that I talked about, Dr. Boom at 34, Sylvanas at 30, Loatheb almost at 28. These are basically the big three. After that, there's like a big step down. The next on the list is Ragnaros coming in at 16.42. And you see the deck distribution is still pretty similar. Ragnaros is a different type of legendary. It favors classes that don't have that efficient removal or those that want to burst people down. It's just a solid body. It does lose to Big Game Hunter, so now that Dr. Boom's the top dog, Big Game Hunter makes some of these other legendaries a little bit less desirable, but of course not in Arena, because in Arena he's picked 100% of the time, because justifiably so he is actually the best neutral legendary in Arena. Now, this whole list is all going to be neutral legendaries, because the class legendaries are pretty situational. If you're going to craft something, you want a neutral one. If they're going to nerf something, they're probably going to nerf the neutral cards. The neutral cards are basically what make the game what it is in terms of overall balance and all that kind of stuff. So Ragnaros has his spot. It's mostly in control, but he does fit in some aggressive decks. A lot of mid-range decks like to use him. But this category of legendaries is a bit more specific. So you wouldn't put Ragnaros in just like every deck, and that is seen in distribution that you see. And next on the list is the Black Knight. And the Black Knight is very useful because a lot of people are running taunts like Sludge Belcher, like whatever really. So it just has something to hit. And if you hit something with Black Knight, well, you're going to get some pretty good value. And again, this, just like Ragnaros, favors classes that don't have that much removal. So you see Druid on the list, you see Paladin on the list. It's classes that don't have immediate hard removal. They don't have a good answer to like a big taunt, and they need these board swings. So they put in the card, and 71% Arena shows that Black Knight is pretty good there. Black Knight is generally pretty good in most decks. I think if you just stick Black Knight in just about any deck, he'll do just fine. If people stop running taunts, it's probably going to be a whole different meta, so this list is probably going to be completely different. But for now, I think it's a pretty safe bet. But again, a pretty specific card. Just like the next on the list, Kel'Thuzad. So Kel'Thuzad seems some comeback in some of the control-y druids that have recently been released, and he's basically one of those. He's basically one of the top, at least, in the ultimate value list. So it's like, Kel'Thuzad might win you the game by himself, and there's very few legendaries that really do that. Like, even Dr. Boom, he's just really strong, and yeah, he might win the game for you if you're already winning. He might just do a lot of work, get like a 3-for-1 or a 4-for-1 with ridiculous bomb RNG, but he's not going to keep producing value in an ongoing state. He doesn't do what Kel'Thuzad does, basically, and Kel'Thuzad is the most popular in this category. I don't know if that's justifiable, because while Kel'Thuzad can do a lot of work if you're winning, if you have like 3 other creatures on the board, you sack them all into your opponent's board, and you play them, bam, you get all the shit back, and yeah, you're going to win that kind of game. But also, if Kel'Thuzad is up against like Sylvanas, and your opponent does like a Sylvanas death, he gets Kel'Thuzad respawns Sylvanas. Basically what I'm trying to say is, yes, Kel'Thuzad can win you some ridiculous games, but man, can he lose you some ridiculous games at the same time. So that's very important to note. Again, mostly used in control decks, and we also see a little bit of a shaman representation on this card. That's largely because there are some pretty cool combos, as you guys know from my Ultimate Combo Shaman video, with Reincarnate, with Ancestral Spirit, with getting just a shitload of Kel'Thuzads on the board, making it almost impossible for your opponent to do anything. Next on the list, we hit about the sub 10% popularity legendaries. Blood Mage Sylvanas, not much to talk about, just a little spell damage unit. You can see the representation is quite fair. He's used in Freeze Mage, so you see the big mage block, and he's used in a lot of different type of rogue decks. Tempo Rogue, Miracle Rogue, Oil Rogue, all that kind of shit uses Sylvanas because it's just a good card to cycle if you have a lot of spells, if you have a lot of high tempo spells, which Rogue, Mage, and Shaman do. So you guys just stick him in there. In Arena, he is below average because if you get a legendary, you usually want it to win you the game, not be a crappy loot hoarder. Then we have Harrison. So Harrison has seen a little bit of a downtrend with hunters being nerfed, but he's still pretty good. Most strong classes are still using weapons. You know, warriors in there. You have a few shamans in there using weapons, but certainly a lot of paladins, and still a few hunters. So right now he's still mated. This is the kind of card that's pretty good. Often you can just get off, killing weapons with acidic swamp ooze, but Harrison gets that little bit of extra value. Some people like it to destroy Jaraxxus's 8 durability, Warglaves, whatever, but usually that can lose you the game because you draw way too many cards all at once. But still, he's pretty good. He's put in classes that really strive for board control and really want to eliminate any options that the opponent has. So you see high representation in Paladin, Warrior, and Priest, which is exactly those classes. Not that high of a representation in aggro. Usually aggro, you want synergy within the deck, not reacting to what your opponent does. And in Arena, he's a 50%er, so not too bad. Number 9, we have Alistraza. Alistraza mostly is seen in Warrior and Mage, so it's a little bit skewed. You guys have to understand, like, this website just pretty much shows you raw data. It doesn't mean too much. That's why I'm kind of interpreting for you guys. In Alistraza's case, all it really means is you put Alistraza in every Control Warrior deck, you put Alistraza in most Mage decks, in absolutely any Mage deck that has Ice Block, including Fatigue Mage and Freeze Mage. So that's why you see the overwhelming control bracket at the bottom, and a very high representation for Warrior and Mage at the top. It is slightly above average in Arena. Often it's just a big dude, and sometimes a big dude's not even better than a Force Tank Max because the Battlecry often isn't very used in Arena, because usually around turn 9 or 10 both players have, well, roughly 15 life. So yeah, that doesn't really do anything at all. But it's a great card in a few decks. I would not suggest crafting this card because it's not as versatile. Certainly not as much as some of the others that we've seen. And it's not like a Kel'Thuzad. It's not a card that has like ridiculous value on its own and will win you the game by itself. It's not really that. Though the next card tries to be. Number 10 on the list, we have Sneeds. Sneeds is one of those cards where you basically, you can't play Sneeds if you're losing because your opponent will ignore it. But if it's an even match, if you have a lot of life, if you have a lot of control on the board, it's like, here, try to deal with this. Good fucking luck. And it's kind of like the Kel'Thuzad standard. But I'll show you guys in a minute what card I think it's closest to. You see a lot of representation in Shaman, again, because of the reincarnate combos, the cool shit that you can pull off with that, and a little bit less in Rogue, because Rogues usually are not playing control decks, and they are playing combo decks, but they're not playing combo decks with Legendaries when they do play combo decks. He is an amazing card in Arena, and in Arena, it's very important to know that cards that have a lot of value are usually the ones that you pick. So for instance, if you get Sneeds, he's going to kill off like 1, maybe 2 big dudes. Then you might get, I don't know, another huge-ass legendary that your opponent has to deal with. So he's often going to like 3 for 1, do some crazy stuff in Arena. It usually is worth it. But I am surprised that a lot of people use Sneeds. I think this list is a bit skewed on decks that are just kind of cool but don't necessarily work, like the Combo Shaman, that kind of stuff. And it's a little bit skewed because GVG is still pretty new, so a lot of people want to try new cards. And I want to compare Sneeds, which is kind of like, try to deal with this, play it on an open board, kind of usually win the game by itself type of card if it's in the right situation, to the reigning king, which is Ysera. Ysera was basically this card. Ysera was, and I mean, Ysera I think is like 20th on the most popular legendary list right now. I just thought I'd throw it in and show you guys a comparison that, you know, Ysera is the card that will single-handedly win you the game almost every time when it's played on open board. And the reason people don't play it is not anymore, but, you know, a few weeks ago, people played Priest quite a lot with Shrinkmeisters, and they would Shrinkmeister Cabal all of your 4 or less attack minions, and when that happened to Ysera, you'd be really, really, really sad. But Ysera, in my opinion, is a safer win condition by itself when compared to Sneed, when compared to Kel'Thuzad, so I'm very surprised that people are not playing it right now. Ysera is just an overall ridiculous card, and in my priest deck, in the a bit greedy priest that I made a video about quite recently, I did highlight the card. I did talk about how I think it fits the role of Sneed's, but it's just better in basically every single way. I mean, yeah, it doesn't do quite as much damage the turn that you play. It's 4 attack instead of 5, but in literally every other case, it seems like a stronger card. It's super powerful in these very controlling decks, which I think we'll start seeing, because right now most people are having success with the mid-range, with the hyper-aggressive, and with the really slow. So if the hyper-aggressive, mostly just the mech mage, kind of hits a counter, and I think my priest does counter it, we're going to see a really heavy control meta, and I think this card is going to make a huge comeback, and if it doesn't, well, maybe you should be the first to put it in your deck and try it out. Anyways, guys, the list is pretty cool. I thought I'd go over the stats, and I thought they were pretty fascinating, pretty interesting in the fact that while they're not super accurate, that, yeah, it's just a number of decks that include these cards, but you get to see the concepts of people. They're like, you know, I want an OP legendary, I'll put in this one, and you get to see the distribution. You get to see that there's some truth to Dr. Boom, Sylvanas, Loatheb being extremely powerful, and it does kind of have a pretty good representation. I want to show you guys a clip today of the Priest deck. I played against another Priest, so it's a little bit of a long game, but I really want to highlight the Sneeds and Ysera comparison. So Ysera, again, is like the 20th best legendary on the list, but it really fits the deck. It really fits the theme, and I think it's better than people give credit for. So this is mostly a reminder that while something might be overpowered, it doesn't mean you have to play it. It means that it just is really powerful. But if people don't expect it, if the situation calls for it, you can get away with using something suboptimal because the situation just makes it the best. And I think that is the case right now for Lil Ysera. So I hope you guys enjoy the game. Hope you guys enjoy my review of the Legendaries. Hope you guys make some good decisions spending the few points of dust that you guys may have if you're one of those people. And stop bugging me about what to craft. This is the video you need to see. Enjoy the rest. I have not lost against another priest yet. I do have a total RNG deck. Don't really feel like dealing with that shit, so I'm just gonna get it off. I think I would lose to priests running Shrinkmeisters. It's very uncommon, but I have seen it. Because they can Shrinkmeister my Ysera and take it with Cabal. I don't think Vol'jin is that good. He looks really good, but most of the time you're playing against aggro and it's garbage. I can take a hit. I don't like it because it gets caballed. Let's hope he doesn't thought steal mind control. If he thought steals the right cards, that also might give another priest a decent chance against my deck. Okay, so he thought stole that, and this is the other card. Now, the issue is if I play Ysera against MC, I lose the game. I can't do that. Okay, so this is the other card he took. He has to play first, he's at 10 cards. Damn. Fuck. Okay. Dude, where the fuck are my mind controls?
Let me change your mind.
I fucking knew it. Yeah, if he has another one of those combos, I'm pretty screwed. Both light bombs and both MCs are at the bottom of the deck. So, we'll see how we get out of this one. May not be that easy. Yeah, I just drew the MC. Is he sniping me now? He's gonna go for a kill on Ysera. That looked pretty stupid. What an idiot. Legend card back, boys. Legend. Dreamy hand.
Is someone injured?
Damn. I don't have another pyro, do I? Too bad. Ah, you can have another card.
I shall bring you rest.
Oh, come on! What the fuck is that? This happened to me before, by the way. Playing circles so I don't mill myself. 3 dreams and a laughing sister. Pretty sick. I'm sure he got dream, right? It's gonna be Sylvanas' death.
The dam stand ready.
Oh, it's not? Really? Oh, buddy, I have some bad news for you. We're going on a ride. Alright. Fine, you can have that piece of shit. What? Come on! What is that? Fucking dream number 4. I'm just gonna cabal it now.
Let me change your mind.
Well, this is a counter to my deck. I don't think he's gonna win though. I could pop. But no, that's okay. I'll just take my Ysera back.
The light shall burn you.
You can still Shadow Madness with that, so we gotta give him back his thing there. Dude. What the fuck is going on? Holy cow. This game is basically who controls Ysera. Looks like he's gonna 50-50 it. Oh, no, he got a Drake. Alright, that's fine. So you can return that shit, and you could return that shit. You can go ahead and mill yourself for 1.
I shall bring you rest.
Thank you.
I have no time for games.
Oh my god, awakens. Oh yeah! Got rid of that zombie chow. Fucking we're in the zone now. Dreams come true.
Is there trouble?
I think we got him, boys.
Almost out of cards.
I think we got him.
I shall bring you rest.
I'm game. Let
Greetings.
none survive.
We can do a little bit of BM damage here.
Is someone injured?
Yeah.